Could it be? But me, your man, Louis T, welcome to this Super Bowl 54 exclusive. Reactions to the commercials. And I'm, over the years, have morphed into this Super Bowl commercial, I don't want to say critic, but kind of, sort of, that's what I've turned into. Like, I've really judged these commercials tough. I'm looking for certain things. And let me say this first. And this is why I don't consider myself to be the best of critics, because I'm looking for certain things. One, on my Super Bowl commercials, I'm looking to be entertained and I want it to be funny. I'm not looking for the heartstrings, sentimental, you know what I mean, tear-jerking commercial. I'm not interested in that. I thought the commercial with Brandon Jacobs was really cool. Josh Jacobs, not Brandon Jacobs. Josh Jacobs of the Oakland Raiders. Thought that was a really cool commercial for what it was. I think it was Kia. I'm not looking for that on Super Bowl Sunday though. I'm not looking for that in my commercial. I'm just not. I'm sorry. There was another commercial where with Anquan Bolden, and it was a great message. I'm pro-black, and everything he said resonated with me. My girl, she's super pro-black, and she was going nuts, and she loved it. I'm not looking for that on my Super Bowl commercial. I'm sorry. I'm not. And I'm not saying it's not the right time. All right? This is the perfect time. You've got 1,000,000,000, trillion, billion eyeballs on the television screen. Probably the most eyeballs of any program the entire year on the screen at once. This is the perfect time to do that commercial. I'm just not looking for that. All right? I don't want the heartstrings. I don't want you tugging at my heartstrings or looking to evoke that kind of emotion out of me. I want to laugh. All right? That's what I'm looking for out of my Super Bowl commercials. I can't speak for anybody else out there. So let me say that. And I also want to say a couple other things before we actually get into the commercials themselves. I want to talk about two things in particular. Number one, I love the intro from Fox into the Super Bowl with the kid running with the football, take it to the house. And him running through all these different cities and all these different situations, and almost like that NFL 100 commercial that they had that we all loved, that they displayed last year when I want to say it was at the Super Bowl last year. They did that commercial, and it was the best commercial of the entire Super Bowl last year. It kind of had that feel towards the end of it. I thought it was a really well done commercial by the NFL and Fox leading into the game. And then from them going from the commercial straight into them running into the stadium alive to hand the official the football. I thought it was pretty damn cool. I can't speak for you. I thought it was a really cool way that they went from the commercial to real life, real live television, them running into the stadium and handing the football, and Virginia McCaskey handing him the football and telling him, you know what to do, and him taking it to the official. I thought it was pretty damn cool, and everybody coming out and all the kids getting the crowd juiced up. I thought that was pretty cool. And then, is it me, or was the Fox animations for the players dope? Like, they show Jimmy Garoppolo, and it's a caricature of Jimmy Garoppolo. They show Travis Kelce, and it's a caricature of Travis Kelce. I don't know if that was just a Super Bowl thing or if that's what they're going to do moving forward, but I thought that was pretty damn dope. I can't speak for you out there. I thought that was pretty damn dope, and I'd like to see that moving forward. Okay, so that was something else I noticed. The caricatures that I thought were spot on, and they were so well done, and I thought that was a nice touch, and it was different. We haven't seen that from any other platform. I thought Fox did a great job, period, end of discussion. So there's that. Now let's get to the commercials themselves. So I have my top 5 commercials of the Super Bowl this year, and I thought it was actually some really good competition. I thought there were some really good commercials that didn't make the cut, but they were honorable mentions. There's some that I didn't necessarily care for that you may have thought were excellent commercials. Like, remember last year, Ty did a really good job of having like 6 different commercials. It was one big commercial, but they broke it up into 6 different ones. I thought it was a big fail, an epic fail this year. I thought it was great last year. I thought Tide was one of the best last year, and I kind of missed it. And then someone brought it up, and I went back and watched, and I saw that, yeah, Tide was actually pretty good last year. This year, they tried to do the whole thing with the stain on the shirt and is it time yet? And I just thought it was a big fail. Epic fail. It was a big miss. I did not enjoy the Tide spot this year. And so you get those from year to year. But you know who else I thought had an epic fail this year that usually is at the top of my list for commercials every year? I thought Doritos had a big swing and miss with Lil Nas X in the country commercial with him and the other guy dancing, having like a dance off. I thought that was super trash. All right. And I know they're going to run that whole Old Town Road thing into the ground until you can't no more. But I'm done with it. And I thought Doritos, who really, they don't need gimmicks to make their shit funny. Every year, they just make it funny. Remember the Doritos spot with, oh my God, Jimmy. He got into the time machine and the old guy was telling him to get off his yard, and he comes out of the time machine and he thinks Jimmy's old. He's like, oh my God, Jimmy, you're old. And remember the year Doritos had the chip and the guy ran into the door, the back patio door, trying to get the chip and didn't know the door was there and kept running into, like, Doritos didn't need this gimmick to be great. Doritos has always done a good job of having really good commercials. I thought they swung really hard this year and just flat out missed with Lil Nas X. I didn't like that commercial at all. Some other honorable mentions. I thought the Hammer Cheetos commercial was a good commercial. It didn't crack my top 5, but it was solid. You know, can't touch this with the Cheeto fingers and all these different situations that they put the guy in. He was at work and his boss was bringing him a big stack of papers. Like, can't touch this. I thought that was a solid commercial. I thought that the Walmart commercial with all the old movies and some of the current movies, everybody coming to pick up their groceries. It's not the first time we've seen Walmart do that before, but it was this was the first incarnation of that particular commercial with Bill and Ted. If you remember Excellent Adventure, they were on the commercial. They've done Back to the Future before. They did them again. They had the Star Wars characters getting lost. I thought it was a well-done commercial. I thought they did some really good things with that one. That did not crack my top 5, but I thought that was a really solid commercial there. There were a couple of other ones. The Rick and Morty commercial, Pringles commercial. I thought that was a solid commercial. Well done. You know, I don't watch Rick and Morty, but I thought it was a really good commercial. I liked it. I thought it was worth mentioning on my honorable mentions list, but it did not crack my top 5. I also thought, you know, just because of, I love her. Okay, that's my girl. To see her on the commercial with Missy for the Pepsi, I could care less about the Pepsi itself. It was solid. It wasn't great. It didn't move me, but it was a solid commercial. As was the Josh Jacobs commercial, as was the Anquan Bolden commercial. Like, these were really good commercials. That's just not what I'm looking for. Budweiser, to me, needs to go back to the Clydesdales, but I don't know if they'll ever go back to the Clydesdales. But I thought they missed the mark with their commercial. There was a Planters commercial that everyone made such a big, oh, they're gonna kill the Planters peanut. Oh my God! And everybody made this big thing about it, and I was really looking forward to it. And then it's the Planters Junior, you know, the little Planters, you know, and he's like, I got you. You thought I was dead? I'm here. Like, boo! That I wasn't. And then there was the Tom Brady commercial for Hulu. Got everybody. Remember, I talked about that on the podcast. Sent everybody into a tizzy. Oh my God, is Tom Brady retiring? And I'm like, you guys relax. He's not going anywhere. And he even said it in a damn commercial, like, I'm not going anywhere. All right. And so, you know, that commercial, because of the picture that he sent out, had meaning. But the commercial itself, as the case with every Hulu commercial, super trash. But it got its point across. You know, Tom brought a lot of traffic to that Hulu commercial with just sending out the still shot of the commercial. So I thought that there were a number of honorable mentions, as I've said already, but those commercials did not crack my top 5. But uh, here are the commercials that cracked my top five. I'm going to give you my top five commercials from Super Bowl 54, and I'm going to give you them right now. And I'm going to allow you guys to react, and then we'll get to the comment section, and we'll try to break all of these down. Let me pull up the comment section so I can see what's going on, and then we'll jump into it. So here we go. Number five for me on my list of commercials was the Hyundai commercial with the Boston accents. And I found that one to be hilarious. I love the accents that they were using. Big Poppy comes out of the window. The car is driving itself. It parks itself. It pulls itself out of the parking space. And they're just talking about it in that heavy Boston accent. And I found that one to be really funny. Really enjoyed that one from start to finish. Thought it was a well done commercial. And then you throw a Boston legend in there. That doesn't hurt either. And so I thought Hyundai did a really good job of making a memorable commercial. And that one came in at number five for me of my top five commercials. Coming in at number four for me was the TurboTax commercial with the dancing to the New Orleans bounce music. That was funny, watching people from all different backgrounds doing the dance. And it just was a funny commercial. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was well done. It was tactfully done. And it got the point across of doing your taxes. Anybody can do the dance. Anybody can do the taxes. I thought it was well done. I really liked that commercial. And it was an excuse to listen to the bounce music. It's good stuff. So I thought TurboTax did a really good job with that commercial. That one came in at number four for me. Coming in at number three, first of all, Portia de Rossi and Ellen DeGeneres are both hilarious to me. Both of them. All right. But they had minuscule parts in this commercial. But the Alexa commercial with Ellen and Portia de Rossi, to me, it was hilarious. That comes in at number three for me. It was the commercial with what did people do before Alexa? And they kind of kept going back into time and further back into time and further back. And I thought it was a really good commercial. It was funny. Again, very tactful, tasteful, and well done, well executed, going back and back and back and further and further. And so I thought that was a really good commercial. I enjoyed it thoroughly. That one came in at number three for me. Coming in at number two for me was the T-Mobile commercial with Anthony Anderson and his mama, and which she kept calling him in different situations to tell him that she was getting reception in multiple locations. And then she became a nuisance to him, and it was an inconvenience. And then at the last time, he's sleeping in bed and she calls him from the club. That was funny. I thought it was a really good commercial. And a lot of times when celebrities are in commercials with their mom or a family member, they usually do a pretty good job. And so I really liked that T-Mobile commercial with Anthony Anderson and his mama. I thought that was a really good commercial. Got a nice couple laughs out of that one. That one came in at number two for me. Coming in at number one, I thought this was hilarious. And I thought, to me, it was the best commercial. And it was the best one by far in a way. I don't think anyone even really came close. I had a lot of pushback from people in the room with me on this one, but I enjoyed this one. And, the crazy part is, this was one of the first ones that I saw that really piqued my interest, that got me laughing, that I enjoyed. And normally, it's not the first commercial that's going to end up at the top of the list. It's, one of the ones you see later on. But this one took the top spot at the beginning, and it never relinquished it. And it's the Rocket Mortgage commercial with Aquaman. I don't know his real name, but the guy that plays Aquaman is in the commercial. And he's coming home into the house, and he's like, man, I love being at home because I get to be myself. And he takes off his arms. So those are fake, okay, in the commercial, because he's a big dude. He's muscular. So he takes off his arms, and he's this scrawny guy. And he takes off this fake chest. And he's got, he's a really skinny dude. And he sits down, and he takes off all of the muscular parts of his body. And he's just this really skinny guy. And then at the end of the commercial, he's doing the bench and he's just lifting the bar. And if you don't know, his wife is Lisa Bonet from The Cosby Show and one of my favorite movies, Enemy of the State. But she's his wife in real life. And so she's spotting him as he's trying to lift the bar, and he's like, get it off of me, get it off of me, get it off, come on, pull it. Because he couldn't lift the bar because he was so scrawny. I thought that commercial was hilarious, all right? I really laughed my ass off at that commercial. And as I told you at the top of this show, I want to laugh when I see a Super Bowl commercial. I'm not looking for tear jerkers. I'm not looking for commercials to move me. In that way, I'm looking to laugh. I want to be like, man, that's funny. I'm going to remember it if it's funny. All right, and so that was the one that did it for me. So that one comes in at number 1 to quickly recap my top 5 commercials. Number 5, Hyundai commercial with the Boston accents with Big Papi as a guest appearance. Number 4, TurboTax commercial with everyone in the commercial dancing to New Orleans bounce music. Thought that was a really well done commercial. Number 3 was the Alexa commercial with Ellen and her wife, Portia de Rossi. Thought that was a really well done commercial with them asking, what did people do before Alexa? And then them flashing back and further back and further back. And I thought that was a really well done commercial. Number 2 for me was the T-Mobile commercial with Anthony Anderson and his mama, her trying to tell him that her connection was great in different locations, including her ultimately ending up in the club. That was funny. And then my number 1 commercial for Super Bowl 54 for me was the Rocket Mortgage commercial featuring Aquaman, in which he comes into the house, takes off all of his muscular body parts, showing that he's really a scrawny dude under all of that big physique and facade. And then he tries to bench press the bar and he can't even get it up. And his wife, Lisa Bonet, has to help him get it back to the rack. So those were my commercials, my top 5. Those were all of the commercials that I thought bared mentioning. Now I'm going to jump into the comment section with you guys and see which ones you enjoyed. And you can tell me I'm wrong. You can tell me I missed this commercial or that commercial. Looking forward to chopping up. Remember, if you're in the comment section, want your comment to be read, use the hashtag LouisTLive to have your comment read on the air. That being said, let's get to the comment section. Reese says, I never thought I'd see MC Hammer in anything ever again. Well, he's been in commercials with that Can't Touch This song. That's always going to be a classic, and he'll always get work because of that song. You know what I mean? I'd like to see him get some work for Pumps in the Bumps. Somebody just pumps in the bumps, pumps in the bumps. I would like to see somebody give him some work for that one, but this isn't his first Can't Touch This commercial, and it won't be his last. So I wasn't shocked to see that commercial. Reese says, these aren't the best commercials I've ever seen, not even close, but they were fun. No, for me, I've tapered my expectations for what I'm looking for in these commercials. There was once upon a time where these commercials were great. You know, there were 10, 15 commercials you could remember and be like, man, they killed it this year. We're not in that age anymore. You know, like we didn't even get a GoDaddy commercial this year. Like the landscape has changed to the point now where you have to lower your expectations. If I can find 5 really good commercials, I'm happy. Last year, I couldn't even give you 5 really good commercials. It was so bad last year. So to me, this year, the commercials were way better. Not to say that, and again, the scale. I mean, if you're on a scale of 1 to 10, these commercials this year were like a 6. But if you're on a scale of 1 to 10 from last year, the commercials last year were like a 2 or 3. So in comparison to last year's commercials, these were way better. So I get where you're coming from, though. And yes, they were fun. The Black Albee says these commercials were this year. I hear you. But if you are comparing them to last year, maybe you don't compare them to last year. I do. They are way better than last year's. Last year's were horrible, for me at least. Reese says, I'm glad they brought back Jake from State Farm commercial. That commercial is brilliant. J. Cam Man says, I really like the Tide commercial. I don't remember that commercial last year, so maybe that's why I liked her this year. I wasn't feeling the Tide commercial this year. You know, with my man from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia with the stain on his shirt, and her saying, "We'll get to it in a while," and he's like, "What's a while?" And then really the rest of the Super Bowl, he was kind of trying to get the stain off of his shirt. It didn't do anything for me. It didn't move me. It didn't move the needle for me. So I wasn't a huge fan of that one. Reese says, I miss the Clydesdales. They felt like a Super Bowl staple. It doesn't feel the same without them. I thought that was one of the ones that they didn't need to change that one. That was perfect the way it was. It didn't need to be funny. It just needed to be there. It just needed to be present. It's almost like one of those commercials that you just wanted it to be there so that you knew that this was the Super Bowl. It kind of was one of those commercials that just belong. I'm like that. I am like you in that sense. Reese says, how could you not watch the Super Bowl halftime show? It's Shakira and J-Lo. I didn't even pay attention to what they were singing. Just watching was glorious. I mean, again, those two don't move me. They didn't do anything for me. I decided that there were other more important things to do at halftime than watch those two. And again, I'm not criticizing anyone that decided that halftime show was a must. Those were two people that, if you wanted to see them, hips don't lie, and J-Lo go out there and have you waiting for tonight. Hey, do it. That's just not. I've never been a Super Bowl halftime guy. So it is what it is. JCamman99 says, believe it or not, Tide was my number one. Wow. Yeah, we vehemently disagree with one another because Tide wasn't even on my radar. As a matter of fact, the only reason I brought Tide up is because it was, to me, so bad, or it was a miss for me, a swing and a miss for me this year. Let's see. Black Al B says, what commercial? I missed that featured my wife, Gabby. She was in the Pepsi commercial with Missy. So, yeah, you missed that one. It wasn't all that, but it was good to see her anyway. Good to hear her singing. Good to see her. And so she was in a Pepsi commercial with Missy. Reese says, Jason Momoa is his name. Okay, that's his name. Cool. The guy from Aquaman is Jason Momoa. Thank you. I will not forget his name now. And JCamman99 says, I don't even remember last year's commercials, but I think I just blocked my memory of last year's game because last year's game was so bad. There was some of that too. The commercials just added to what was a lackluster Super Bowl. And like I said, last year's Super Bowl it was competitive. It just wasn't entertaining. I always have to make sure people can distinguish between the two. It wasn't a non-competitive game. It was 3-3 late in that ball game, and it was 10-3 with the Rams with a chance to tie the game up before Jared Goff threw the interception. It just wasn't an entertaining game. It wasn't exciting, especially coming off the Super Bowl we had the year previous, where you got like a 41-33 game or whatever it was between the Patriots and the Eagles. So, and in that game, you were expecting fireworks. The Rams were one of the most potent offenses that entire year. The Patriots, can score with the best of them. You just were expecting more and you got less. So, yeah, it was all bad last year. It was all bad. SP says, what about the Post Malone commercial? You know what? That one bears mentioning as well. I did not put that one in my phone. I should have, because that was actually a very solid commercial with his brain, with the Bud Light seltzer and the brain switching back and forth between the seltzer and regular Bud Light, seltzer, regular Bud Light, and him knocking everything down in the convenience store and being knocked to the ground. And then finally his brain saying, get both of them. You're rich. Get both of them. And everyone in his brain had the Post Malone tattoos on. That was actually a pretty good commercial. So yes, I'm glad you brought that one up. I should have mentioned that one because that was actually a pretty solid commercial as well. It didn't do enough to crack my top 5, obviously, but I did think that was a funny commercial that I did get a couple laughs out of. That was a good pull, SP. Thank you for bringing that one up. Octavius Brownlee says, he's mad about Kyle Shanahan in the Super Bowl. Yeah, he did it again. He sure did. Reese says, what halftime shows have you liked? Again, I'm not a halftime show guy. So I really don't watch the halftime show. I didn't watch Beyonce's. I really didn't watch much of Prince's halftime show, although I did catch some of his. I didn't catch the halftime show last year with Big Boy coming in a little bit and them being in Atlanta. I'm just not a halftime show guy. And I'm not. I usually have other things to take care of at halftime that are of more importance to me than sitting down and watching the performances. So that Black Albie says that Budweiser lousy Americans commercial was dope. Americans get a bad rap. That joint show, we still doing good out there. I thought it was okay. Again, I'm not looking for the sentimental heartstrings commercial. That's why I led with that. The Budweiser commercial wasn't bad. It just wasn't, again, it's not what I'm looking for at the Super Bowl. I'm not looking for you to tell me that, and you're right. The Americans do get a bad rap. Some of it well-deserved, but we're not bad people. And that commercial was pretty much saying, hey, we're good people here. There are a lot of good people here. But again, I'm good. So, but I understand where you're coming from there. Reese says, this felt like the Super Bowl. It had the mystique, the competitiveness. Fox took this seriously. I felt the same way. I thought they took it up another notch with the caricatures, with the intro to the game, with the kid running through different cities and ultimately running the football to the official. I just thought Fox handled this on a grand scale and stage. And I thought from Troy Aikman and Joe Buck, who I know some of you aren't huge fans of, to the commercials, to the presentation and the visual. I just thought it was well done by Fox as a whole. Thought the product itself was just really appeasing to the senses. And I thought they did a really quality job. Black Albie says, the Martin Scorsese Jonah Hill Coca-Cola energy drink made me chuckle. I didn't even get that commercial. I don't know if I missed something there. He's texting him, from a party, I guess. Jonah's at the crib chilling. I got lost. I didn't get that one. So excuse me, maybe I'm too old for that one. Maybe it went over my head. Maybe I wasn't paying attention enough. I didn't get that one. The Mountain Dew commercial with, God damn it, I forgot his name. But he burst through the door with Tracy Ellis Ross, excuse me. And it's a Mountain Dew commercial. I think it was Bryan Cranston. That burst through the door. And it was supposed to be like the Jack Nicklaus movie. I think it was The Shining that scene came from. That was okay. I got the premise of it. I just wasn't moved, but I got it. You know what I mean? It made sense. But again, it wasn't good enough to crack my top 5. Reese says, you ready for Tom Brady to come to Tampa, Lou? He wants weapons. Who has better weapons? I don't know. There's a lot of competition out there for him. I think ultimately when he's all said and done, he's going back to New England, but we will see. Anyway, no more comments. That's my Super Bowl commercial breakdown. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope you guys enjoyed the Super Bowl. Thank you guys for joining me. I thought it was well done by Fox, as my man Ree mentioned, and I've mentioned too. I thought Fox took this Super Bowl coverage to the next level. Again, visually, audio-wise, I thought it was a slam dunk by Fox, and I thought the commercials were much better than they were last year. So, yeah, I'm an Android guy. So, miss me with anything not Android. If you got an iPhone, we're not friends. Simple as that. I can't rock with you. You got an iPhone. So, which I mean, that's probably half of the people that are subscribed to my channel. Probably 2/3 of the people that are subscribed to my channel. But anyway, that's going to do it for me. Your man, Louis T. I thank you guys for joining me. If it's not your man T, it's not the best NFL coverage it could be. Remember, if you haven't already done so, check out the Louis T Network podcast. We'll talk more about these commercials and the Super Bowl as a whole on the podcast, as well as the XFL this week. Are you guys going to watch? We'll see. We'll talk about that on the podcast as well, among other things. I thank you guys for joining me. Commercials weren't half bad. I actually enjoyed them. Leave your comments in the comment section if you're watching this after the live stream. I'd love to hear what was your favorite commercial. And also, leave a like and a sub if you, haven't already done so. I'm your man, Louis T, signing off. Until next time, you guys take it easy. Enjoy the rest of your night. Have a good one.
Louis T Network.